Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. I'm your host, Chris Finn, and I'm excited today to have probably one of the most impactful people in my personal game, but also professionally. I'm honored to have this man here. He was one of the first, what I would call, famous teachers to actually talk to me way back in the day. We have David Orr. He's known as the putting genius. We get along great, just absolute nerds of the game and everything data. So David, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Chris. And it's great to be on this show. It's great to see your new building, your success. And obviously, a lot of my clients are your clients as well. So that's pretty cool.
Because I know that's been a big point of discussion, especially with Scotty Scheffler and the switch to the mallet. And how much of that do you think was actually the putter versus was he like mismatched? Was it, or did that have nothing to do with it? And
so Phil Canyon's one of my good friends.
Yeah.
He's working with Scotty. He's done a great job with Scotty. I mean, look how much Scotty's won now that he's just averaging putting.
Yeah, he's won a few times.
Yeah. The thing about the blade versus the mallet. First of all, you need to understand the market share right now is 75% mallets.
Really?
Yeah, they're pushing mallets. They're pushing high MOI. They're pushing weight. They're pushing size.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for directional stability. Let's go back to the amateur golfer that had the face open 5, open 4,
yeah,
3, 2, 1. That mallet's not helping him. If anything, it's making it worse.
Right. Yeah.
Now you take a guy like Scotty Scheffler, where on the shorter putts, that mallet's probably helping him.
Yeah.
It might not be helping him on the longer putts. That makes sense.
And meaning that the shorter putts, it gives him a little more stability, a little less variance.
Directional stability.
Directional stability. Okay.
Now, whereas a blade has more rotational stability.
Interesting. So, can you get into that? Because I'm pretty confident the people that have no idea what the differences are.
It's really easy. Directional stability is if I'm driving a dump truck on a mountain road, it's going to keep going straight.
Yeah.
Right off the cliff.
Yeah.
Right? It's stable going in a direction, right?
Yeah.
Whereas going around a curve, you want something that's rotationally stable. You want a Tesla. Make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, if you swing the club very upright, you don't have a lot of curve. The curve is just basically backing up, down, forward, and up. Right. So you can go as heavy as you want to. It's directionally stable. That's why the Lab Golf Mez is the perfect putter for the guys that are doing the broomstick.
Right.
You can't design a better putter than that.
Yeah.
That's why Bryson's putter, which is at 10 degrees, right? That Lab Golf shaft's heavy. There's a lot of mass. I'm sure the head's pretty heavy for a blade.
Yeah.
And the grip, and it's swinging on a 10-degree angle, but there is a very small, this radius is rotating on an angle. There's a very small arc. But when you get guys that are, and it's not the lie angle or the shaft, that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the sweet spot or the face. So when the sweet spot's curving a lot, you want something that's rotationally stable. Here, you want directionally stable. See that? And here you want rotationally stable. And then if you got the face opening and closing, so you've got one for the sweet spot plane and one for the face plane. So if your club face is rotating, let me see here. So if your club face is, let's see, if it's rotating very quickly, do you see this?
Yeah.
Want a lighter head. If it's not rotating much, or if even counter rotating, which is like this, shut to open.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? But if you got a lot of rotation in a short period of time, you want that to be light. So now you know why Utley, Fax, and Tiger have such light overall weight and light heads is they want this thing to be rotationally stable.
Yeah.
And because their face plane is much flatter, they want a lighter head.
As opposed to a guy like Bryson who's going heavier and more about and likes the directional stability. Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody's really talking about that. There's a few people out there that knows what's going on, and we kind of tend to know each other.
Yeah. The conversations happen at just small dinner get-togethers.
Yeah, but the thing about it is now if that's what the third arm is doing, so let's talk about this. So if the putter is rotating around the z-axis, well, let's go up through the body. That would be z-axis rotation.
Yeah.
This is z-axis external and internal rotation.
Mhm.
That's what's causing the rotation in the joints. The joints are rotating. Now,
Right.
if I counter rotate that, now I want a putter that doesn't open and close.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of it has to do with, okay, what's the lead, shoulder, and arm doing? You can see the rotation. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Let me get my hand up here high enough so you can see the rotation. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just this little internal rotation is a mile. You
Right.
see my hand is moving across my midline of my body?
Yeah. And so that's going to require more of the rotational stability in the
Yeah.
putter.
Now,
Yeah.
same thing on the backside, right?
Yeah.
See if I get, so if I get some external, look at how much hand travel that is. So there's rotation in the shoulder joint. There's also rotation here at the proximal radial ulnar joint.
Yeah.
That's where people, this is the secret here. If you can manage elbow flex and control that forearm at the proximal end and the distal end, that's where the gold is.
Yeah.
That's really what you're fitting to. Or fitting against, like countering it. Like, okay, I want less of that.
Got it. And so that's where you're saying when people are going to get putter things, people aren't looking at all of that. They're just saying, hey, here's the newest, hottest putter, take it.
You need this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the motivation is to use putter fitting as a means to sell you a putter.
Right.
That's why I don't sell putters. I haven't sold putters since 2012.
I can attest to that. You did not sell me a putter. You tell me, hey, just go change that grip and you'll be good.
Well, if somebody comes to me with 5 or 6 putters, I'll try to take what they have and maybe modify it.
Yeah.
Or if they don't have anything good at all, then I'll make a recommendation. So I'll either get on the Ping app. The Ping PLD is a great thing.
Yeah.
And also the Bettinardies do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
So the average golfer just needs the length, the lie, the loft, and the basic head shape and the basic grip size. Yeah. And they're ready to go. Now, if you want to go full Monty, then you're going to have to go custom. You're going to have to get somebody to make you that. And that's the problem with blades now, is there are not a lot of blades being made. If you go to a tour event, there's not a lot of blades.
Yeah.
But yet, if you look at the top 10 putters of all time,
they're all blades.
Well, mostly.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at the era that they played in. They played in slow greens.
That's fair. Yeah.
Right. And that's what was made. Right. And now we're on faster greens, and people can get away with weight, because weight makes them feel stable. That's what the average golfer, they don't realize that, that heavier putter makes this feel stable.
Mm, yeah.
You can see the trembling I got going on in my arm and my hands, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, versus like a neurosurgeon with a scalpel, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just
swipe right there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But here's the thing: a great putter can putt with any putter. I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen Faxon pick up putter and just. By the way, speaking of Fax, Monday he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to go over to number 10 and ride with me and watch me play 9 holes?"
Yeah,
like, yeah, absolutely. So I'm riding with Fax and he's playing, and what's funny is I'm like, we get to hole number 7, and I said, "When are you going to do your green reading routine?" He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm reading it every second." He goes, there's no signal that, hey, I'm going to do my green.
I'm going to read it. Yeah.
I'm going to read it. Hey, I'm going to read this. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he goes, like, every second my eyes are on the shape of the green and the putt and how fast it's going to break and how much it's going to break. And like every second he goes, I'm taking that all in.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, I've worked with, Justin Rose from 2012 to 2022,
Yeah.
and he's an unbelievable putter. Paul Casey, I've worked with, he's an
Yep.
unbelievable putter. Alex Noren's really good, and he's got a unique technique for lead hand low.
Yeah.
Fax is the best I've ever seen, and I've seen him many times in my laboratory.
Yeah.
I've seen him many times on my practice green, and I've been
Right.
to his house and we've done schools together.
Yeah.
But to get out on the golf course to watch him putt on the course, it's like
Pretty cool.
he ratcheted up a level. It's like
Yeah.
every putt he hit, except for one, looked like it was center cut.
Really? Wow.
And the one putt that he did miss, he lipped it out on the left edge because he has that little closing bias.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then he made me putt with his driver from off the edge of the green. And I happened to knock it up to about 4 feet and tap it in with the driver.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But to
Take
watch
that back.
to watch how good he is, like people can't comprehend how good he is. Like, yeah, he's virtuoso level. It's just like phenomenal, and he's a great guy too. So, but yeah, getting back into.
I think the one. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'd like to get back a little bit into the body. So people
Yeah.
need to. There's people that are disassociated at address. Can we talk about disassociation first in the sagittal plane? So let's talk about
Yeah,
head.
definitely. Yep.
So could you demonstrate that just so people can see what we're talking about, the separation at address? Could you maybe turn sideways or?
Are you talking about like standing up? Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
either
those-
standing up or but
those
turn
guys watch,
sideways. So people can
Yeah,
see
so well, you could have hips one way, hips the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
that would be in the horizontal plane, right?
yep, that'd be in the horizontal, and then obviously there's there's tilt
Lateral.
from side to side. Yep. Mhm.
Yep. And now in the sagittal plane, there's forward, like the ribs move forward of the pelvis.
Yep. So you'd have forward like a hinge, kind of where the chest gets forward and backwards. Yep. Those would be the three different planes of motion that you'll see the separation or disassociation. Yep.
Yeah. So basically, to me, the head and the neck are separate from the shoulder complex and the rib cage. So there's a little bit of forward head.
Yep.
So because I want my shoulder girdle to glide underneath my neck. So you can see how I'm moving my head is stable. My neck is going to counter rotate as I glide the shoulders. And that's a very important thing, that the shoulder is gliding, right? It's gliding. It's not connected and stuck to the rib cage.
Right.
That would be a different type of stroke. The shoulder stroke would be where there is some movements in the shoulder complex, and that these movements can be independent. Right? I can move my
one without the other. Yep.
One without the other. So getting them to coordinate each other. A true shoulder stroke is you are driving your arms and your hands in the club by a coordinated movement of both shoulders that is separate from your head. Yep. So can the viewers see our separation here?
Yep. Yeah, they can see the shoulders moving separately. Yeah.
As opposed to with my head.
Yeah.
So this is what I see out of the high handicapper, is there's no separation between the head and the rib cage.
And I remember when I came down to you, you talked about I was pulling left, similar to that. Everything was going. I was getting this horizontal stroke. Ended up producing. Yeah.
Now for our viewers, go back to Rory's putt on 16.
Yeah.
He missed it slightly left.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch just a little bit in the downswing, there's a little bit of chest movement, like about a degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that, right?
Yeah.
In other words, instead of the separation, there's some anticipation.
Yeah.
And that's enough to do this to the face.
Just enough to miss it left. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Could you demonstrate the separation between the torso and the pelvis? Can you stand back up, maybe get further away?
Yeah. So when you're doing the, there we can adjust the camera. Yeah. So that's where,
get further away. Yeah. But here's the thing. You are keeping the rib cage stable. You're doing full swing. We got to do the opposite of that. Okay, so you were doing
I can do this,
separation of the hips. You were doing separation. We got to do the opposite. We got to keep.
So just keeping the hips still and then just moving the torso. So
Right now, see how there's but see how your head's moving. That's because there's no separation between the head and the chest. So you got to be head stable, hip stable.
Yep.
And now you got to add some left bend and right bend to that turn as you're turning. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
So if we're going true stroke.
That's it right there. Now don't move your head. Separate. So keep your chin from moving. See, your viewers can see your nose moving with your chest.
Yep. Just slightly. Yeah.
Keep your nose at me. Keep your nose at me. There we go. Keep your nose at me. Feel a counter rotation in the neck. Yes. Feel a counter. That's it. Keep going. So keep that head stable. So heads stable. Hips are stable. Rib cage and shoulders are mobile. That makes sense?
100%. It's always easier said than done. That's for sure.
Well, I think, I practice this a lot, learning to stay still. So Chris, you were just doing a little bit of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's my miss when I putt. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've got to learn to keep my eyes stable. Now, that doesn't mean the head doesn't move a little up and back through the ball, because it will.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be normal. And the head moves back when we start to side bend very quickly.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that you see that with a lot of great putters, is there's a little bit of that head kind of goes backwards away.
So if your head's moving toward the target, the backswing, you're side bending too fast.
Mm-hmm.
If your head's floating to the right, you're turning too fast. So if you're turning and tilting with separation, your head should be stable, pretty stable, and maybe start to tilt a little back. A little. It's when it happens. If it happens too quickly and too early, you'll hit it thin.
When you hit that, yeah.
If it happens from impact to finish, that's pretty normal. It's pretty normal behaviors.
Yeah.
So and then being able to move both arms. So I'll do a drill where they putt with just their lead shoulder, lead arm, and see how coordinated it looks.
Yep.
Shoulder, trail arm, and then putting both on there and see if they can coordinate both arms. And then looking at the wrist. So usually the lead wrist, we don't go around here doing this in putting, even though people say, oh, he broke his left wrist down.
Yeah.
Well, it's not from the lead wrist. It's from the trail wrist and the trail arm. Let me see. Overpowering the lead. There's no movement from the lead side.
Right.
So that's why the trail side is overtaking the lead side. So it's usually coming from the trail wrist. So we'd like to say, okay, let's keep this angle. Let me stand up a little bit. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so let's keep the angle of wrist extension, elbow flexion. Let's keep that angle through impact. So if I'm turning and tilting, that allows that to happen.
Yep. So it's essentially almost not moving relative to the chest. It's moving because that upper torso is moving, and it's moving along with it, with maintaining that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be a totally passive trail arm.
Yeah.
But if we look at Nicklaus and Tiger Woods and Brad Faxon, they've all putted with their trail side. They might move a little bit of shoulders, right, and a little bit of shoulders, but they got an active trail arm. That is without a doubt what I have studied in 3D for the last 12 years, that the vast majority of golfers make a downswing delivery with the trail arm. That makes sense? So
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. There are very few people that putt with a shoulder driven stroke. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent how many years trying to move both shoulders in a coordinated fashion.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And
I
always wondered why I came up short on putts, because I was growing up on a municipal golf course where it was so slow, I needed some wrist.
Yeah.
So I started to recruit a little bit of float load in my club head, so I had a little hit along with my shoulder movement. But to learn to move freely and gliding, see how my head's not moving a lot?
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of separation there. That's what a shoulder-driven stroke looks like. Now, a torso-driven stroke looks different. It's connected.
Mm-hmm.
Now the ribs are going to turn more. You see the plane of my shoulders looks so different.
Yeah, very different.
And then I'm going to turn my ribs through. So it's much more horizontal.
Yeah, it looks much like a much more quote unquote flatter rotation.
But it is. And
Yep.
that's why you got to get the forward bend correct.
Right.
But this would be, but I'm connected. So my upper arm is not making any, right? So it's boom. It's boom. It looks really stiff when you do torso driven.
Yeah.
Versus shoulder driven. You see the plane of my shoulders looks so different. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like it glides nice and smoothly. Yeah.
That's a shoulder driven stroke. Way more upright, way more lateral vertical movements, as opposed to locked horizontal movements.
It's a little bit more round, yeah.
Shoulder driven, glidey, right? Versus locked in, connected. Yeah. If you can't see the difference there, then
I mean, then you're blind. Yeah.
Well, don't try to putt with your shoulders or your torso. I actually had a couple older guys that putt with their wrists. So what's unique about the way I teach is if somebody is inclined to putt with their wrists and their body build,
yeah,
right? I'll get them crouched over with the ball forward and you say, okay, hands in front of the ball. Ball forward, hands forward. Now just tap it with your wrists. And they're like, I can do that? I'm like, yeah, you can do that. Matter of fact, I would recommend you do that. Well, nobody's ever told me that. I'm supposed to putt with my shoulders. You're not coordinated enough to putt with your shoulders, dude.
You got to do what works for you.
Well, the engine can be from the wrist. The engine can be from the arms. It can be from the lead and the trailer. Right? The engine is how you generate speed. I'd write that down.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is just what matters is figuring out which engine is going to work best for you, and then dialing in everything around that from nuts and bolts to finish.
Yeah. So the problem is we got a lot of golfers because they don't practice. They can't read a green, and they are not used to different speeds, and they can't get the face square, and then they run through the list of supposed tos.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be a triangle. Well, the ectomorph is the only person that could anatomically lock out those arms, right?
Exactly, 100%.
Right? The ectomorph is the only one that could possibly be a triangle. And then they got to be a pendulum.
Yeah.
And then they got to rock their shoulders. Yeah. So it's almost like you got the Cliff Notes of golf putting for dummies.
Yeah, and there's 5 different versions of it, and you just got one of them.
Yeah, I needed to do the dummies book for putting, like putting.
You do
the Cliff Notes version, because that's what people have got going through their head, and it's not their fault. It's the golf instruction fault.
Well, yeah. Well, I think to me that's one of the coolest things about Flatstick Academy is there's all this content on there, the video. I mean, social. You put out a ton of content for people to go and visualize this stuff and to actually see it and learn. Tell people a little bit. Obviously, I know what Flatstick Academy is, but for the average person listening, like, I mean, it's an amazing resource. You got to talk about that a little bit. With all the discussion we've done about different moves and everything, I mean, it's all on there for people to see and understand, right?
All right, so I'm going to do the opposite of what most people would do, right? If you're not a golf geek, do not buy my subscription. Seriously. Yeah. Like, if you're not into learning, it would be a waste of $9.99.
It's a steep price too. I'm not sure.
No, that's for my subscription. Now, the subscription site is for the average golfer and the coach. That's what it was designed for. There's all kinds of topics. The topics change every month. I might
and that's why I love having you on, because most of the people listening to this are avid. And so most of the people listening here need to hear this from you.
But I'm telling you, don't buy the subscription.
Yeah. Unless you're a nerd, do not buy it.
Do not buy it. Now, what I do also have on my website, though, is we're starting to drip some online courses. So like my practice plan.
Awesome.
So it's a separate product. It's a digital it's a portal that you can go into and watch a playlist. Awesome. And it's separate from my subscription. It's called the practice plan. And what's interesting is it's based off of working with all my tour players. So I'll give you the gist. The first video is about warming up and calibration.
Yeah.
This is what a tour player does. They come out of the locker room, they drop a few balls on the green, hit a few downhill putts, and watch the ball roll out. They hit some uphill putts and watch the ball roll out. Left to right and right to left, watching the ball roll out. Then they get out their putting mirror or their training aid or their chalk line, and they calibrate their setup. And they calibrate maybe something in their stroke that they want to feel that day. So that's warm up and calibration. You do that before you hit balls on the range. Got it?
That's awesome.
Now, once you've hit some balls on the range, then you might want to test your pre-putt routine, getting prepared to tee off. No training aids, right? Just going through your process and making sure it moves smoothly, right? Now, you've played your round of golf. You've had your 30 putts. You had 30 in your warm-up and calibration and 30 in your round of golf. The really smart kids go in and eat lunch, text their wife, say, I'll be back in about an hour. They go back out and putt for another 20 minutes working on correction. What do I need to work on? Well, look back at your round. Does it need to be short putt focus? Does it need to be long putt focus? Right? What types of practice do I need to do? Block practice, random practice, competitive practice. Like this is the video playlist of the practice plan.
That's amazing. And it sounds so simple. It's just, people just they just have to unlearn what to look for.
Well, they don't know what to practice, and they don't realize that you have to have a framework
to be successful.
Yeah, and let's just say you got a late, early tee time. You don't have time other than to hit a few putts and go to the first tee.
Yeah. But
you should practice after a round. You could practice indoors. There's a video on indoor practice.
Right. Cool.
So,
well, we'll definitely have, so we'll put all of these resources, guys, in the show notes. So you guys will have the links to go check out. And we talk about it all every episode. Assess, don't guess, and putting is no different. And I can attest to you just how valuable a lot of these resources are that David has. And most of you are nerds, but if you aren't, avoid it. But but hey, David, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. For all of you guys who are interested in getting more, hearing more of David's stuff, obviously the website, we'll put all the links there. On social media, you just at David Orr. What's their at Flatstick? What's the best place for people to find you?
So on Facebook, it's David Orr.
Okay, and then what about Instagram or X or anything like that?
I think it's Flatstick Academy.
Okay, great.
Let me see here. I'll let you know. Yeah, it's Flatstick Academy. Or it's David Orr also. Hang on. David, let's see here. Yeah, I'm not really good with the social media stuff. I post most of my before and afters on my Facebook page.
Okay, good. All right,
so people want to see the quality of the work, and if they want to see because I have a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour session. Okay.
Awesome.
Most of my clients are from out of state, out of country.
Yeah.
And they do a 2 hour or 3 hour session, right? If you're doing an hour, you're wasting your money. To be honest with you, don't even sign up. Like people, there's a reason why I'm $500 an hour for an hour, because you don't need to be taking an hour.
Yeah. I can attest. Yeah. And any of you guys that are interested in that, I mean, definitely it's well worth the time. And we always talk every week about, dropping knowledge bombs. Your head will be exploded by the amount of information you'll learn from David. And to me, the cool thing for me personally was how it was simple, actionable. It was like, how did I not know that? And it makes so much sense, and it's grounded in research, just like everything we do at Par for Success. And David, I can't thank you enough for coming on here, taking this time to chat with me and share all your knowledge with everybody. And it's been good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you, and I'm glad to see that your business is expanding and that you got your dream, your new building.
We've been very blessed. It's been quite a ride, and honored to have you along the way. So it's been awesome. So
thank you so much. I enjoyed your. Yep, thank you. Yep,
for sure. All right, guys, and check out the thanks as always for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.